Looks like we gotta buy egg, lemon, and cheese. Welcome back to Rising Star 2, everyone. And we're just gonna keep working on our songs on this episode and hopefully practice enough to get to that gig. We'll get there eventually, guys. We will. I expected to get there episode 3. I think I was way too ambitious. Um, it's definitely a lot longer than it feels like it does to get there. So we're just gonna go back on the grind. I do need to go back to the music store. Let's go to a discount music store really quick. At least we got to watch the Shady Awards last time. That was cool, I guess. I got to make fun of randomly generated names. Alright, what does Jake's studio want? Alright, just go to Kennedy's studio and back. That kind of stuff's fine. But again, they're all fetch quests. Except for the hotel one, which you only get like once. But we got $2 grand out of it. I would love to see that again, but we're not gonna. Maybe in other towns, but not in this one. Alright, and then we'll go back. Okay. And now we'll go to the music store as planned. See how it starts as that way. Most of the interesting stuff is this way, so I just gotta do 180. Do got a discount store right here, that's pretty nice. Okay, let's we're buying all these. You know, let's just buy every single one. We're gonna need them. Now it should be way easier to repair stuff. Alright, can I get a repair level on my main character? No, I can't. And not much there. We did get one. Now we'll do more practice. I will try it differently this time. So we're getting about 3 on each. So if we did just one song at the same rate, it would be 3 times 6, like 18. So if that is how it goes, we should get this one should go up to 70. So let's try it. Actually a little bit more. So it might be faster to do it that way. It's still gonna take a while, but I think we're gonna have to start doing it that way, one song at a time. And yeah, our prepare stats, soon enough they're gonna skyrocket, and then we're gonna be super good. And we'll start fixing stuff instead of breaking it. It seems stupid now, but it'll be very helpful in the future. Not too long from now either. It doesn't take that long. Because the higher they get, the quicker they'll get higher, so I think later on it takes multiple repairs for them to level up, but like, yeah, at this point, it comes down to luck. Or if you want to manually increase the stat. Like I've said, I'd rather use it for the stuff that you can't manually, or the stuff that you can't increase other ways. So, we'll just repair, we'll just practice again. I'm gonna need 2 on that one. So I think we'll focus on the next song after that. I guess they don't have to be 100 right away, but I would like them to be at least 90 or something like that. Alright, we got some upgrades. Again, our playing stats are pretty high, but we need some more stage presence. I also do want to give these guys a makeover eventually. We'll make them more memorable, I guess. But that's just not a priority right now. Hmm. You know, we're just gonna do funny. We're just gonna max that out. I mean, practice won't be as important soon, but I don't know why I did that. I saw the fire button and I was like, what happens if you click that? So, yeah, I kind of forgot you could just flat out randomly fire somebody. Back to the grind. So, I mentioned in the last episode I was gonna talk about, um, my experience with rock music, why I like it, and that kind of stuff, whatever we ran out of stuff to really talk about in the game. I got a bit of a sore throat and like some allergy stuff going on right now, so I'm trying not to talk as much as I normally would. I probably shouldn't even be recording, but I'll give it a shot. So, music was not a big hobby for me until a couple years ago, and now it's a huge hobby. Not playing it, but, you know, listening to it. And I always knew, you know, I live in the South, my parents listen to mostly country, and I always knew most country I didn't care about, it was too slow and boring. I wanted rock music. I always liked rock music. There was a few songs and bands I liked early. The biggest one was Steve Miller Band. For whatever reason, those melodies and stuff just hit me the most, and they were probably my favorite band early on, but even then I only knew like the big hits. Jungle Love, Jet Airliner, Swingtown, that kind of stuff. Those are some of my favorites. And I also liked Guns N' Roses, their big hits, and a few others. And then there's one point where it was like, I almost feel like it's like two of my biggest hobbies nowadays, NASCAR and music, are two that I got into relatively recent. But they were two things I always liked but never really made a hobby until recently. It's like they were always there, just waiting to explode into this big pastime for me. So rock music was one of those, or just music in general. Um, Once I learned about, I'd heard of Spotify and stuff, but I didn't realize it was free out of the gate with just a few ads to just listen to literally whatever you wanted. So I started doing that, and it was all downhill from there. Actually, it goes a little bit further back than that. I need to keep focus here. Sorry, I'm kind of getting a little distracted because I'm trying to think about what to say and what to do in the game. Okay, that one's about maxed out. So, as I was saying, I'd always been into watching, not playing, Guitar Hero, and eventually I got into Clone Hero, the PC fan-made definitive version of Guitar Hero, I guess. And you can play it with keyboards, so I started playing it a lot. Still played a lot to this day. I played it earlier today. And I discovered so many artists and songs from those games. Actually, the first one I ever played was Guitar Hero On Tour for the DS, which was a game that was borrowed from somebody, and I played it some. That was my first Guitar Hero game. It was actually pretty popular in my friend group. Like, I remember multiple people had it, and they were doing the multiplayer against each other. It was really cool. And that game had some great songs, even if the song quality was kind of bad. It was too good for DS standards. But then eventually got into Guitar Hero 3, where almost every song in that game is really, really good in terms of gameplay and just as a song. And so I discovered a lot of artists from there, and it just kept going down. I started listening off of YouTube, and then when I got to Spotify, it was over. 2 years later, I am just super into rock music. I document what radio stations play on Google Sheets. That is how far down the rabbit hole I am, because I'm just a statistics nerd. I'm autistic. I find dumb things to do to pass time, and one of those is seeing what songs radio stations play. So almost every song you frequently hear in rock stations, I know about it. And I learn more every day, but like, you know, I'm pretty big into the rock scene now, and I wouldn't say a specific kind. I like all kinds of rock music. I started off solely classic rock. I didn't like the new 2000s or later rock. I couldn't even stand Linkin Park. I like Linkin Park now, kind of. Some of their songs are really good. I've evolved a lot. I still think some new, like the metalcore kind of stuff is trash, and I'm never into the, like the death metal. Some metal like Metallica, Megadeth is okay, but um, super heavy stuff. No, that's not me. It's not me, dude. I'm not that kind of rock fan. I see some people like, oh, I like rock, and then they just listen to that kind of stuff. So that's not what I mean when I listen to rock. Oh, hold on a second. We got invited to a gig by a band. Ghetto's a round number. I didn't know ghetto is one of the words in there. But, they want us to play on February 3rd. Are we ready for that? I mean, we won't have to look for a gig if we do that. We'll go for it. I think we'll be ready around that time. Yeah, I think we'll be decently ready. Alright, I didn't expect that. Anyway, back to the story. It's not really much of a story, but yeah, I just eventually my tastes opened up, and then I started wondering, you know, I know rock music's not as popular as it used to be. People are into crappy pop nowadays, and stuff that doesn't take real talent, in my opinion. At least not in the way it used to. But then I started looking at the modern rock scene, because you still got the rock radio stations that play the new stuff, and you got, you know, I started getting really into the Billboard charts, but you have, you know, we still have modern rock bands, they just don't get a lot of attention, and there's some that sound classic, and you know, especially like those, Greta Van Fleet, Dirty Honey. One of my favorites right now is Mammoth WVH, which is Wolfgang Van Halen's group, which the recordings are actually all just him, but he's one of my favorites right now. And there's some others. I've even gotten to a lot of obscure bands. Each one kind of has their own story as to how I found it. Could have been a random YouTube recommendation. It could have been Spotify Discover Weekly. It could have been Clone Hero. It could have been something else. But, I'm trying to think. Man, I lose my train of thought. My train's already, like, barely staying on the tracks, and it'll go off the rails a lot, so... Oh, it was a 3 times XP day. I think we're gonna actually head out of the house for once. Go touch some grass.
You're with Shady O'Grady on Stranded Radio for your afternoon drive.
So yeah, basically, eventually what happened was I got into, I don't even remember how it really happened. I got into Billboard charts, seeing how those evolved, seeing what top 40 was for rock every week. I learned a lot about how all that works. And now I keep up with the top 40 mainstream rock airplay very closely. Even though the most popular songs there only get like 3 million impressions at most. Maybe 4 every once a few months. But yeah. Now I know pretty much all those bands. I don't like all of them, but there is some absolute garbage in my opinion. Well, there's also a lot of stuff I really like to keep up with, and I'm just there, hoping that rock grows. Because here's the thing that makes me kind of irritated. People are like, there's a lot of people that like old rock still. It's about as popular as modern music. People are like, I wish rock would make a comeback, and then just sit there. Like, if you want rock to make a comeback, you gotta do something about it. It's like how some people think voting isn't important, but every vote counts. Even more so in this case. Go listen, go find artists, go support them, become fans. Don't sit back and wait for it to happen, or it's not going to. So go out there and find artists you like, when I find something like Mammoth WVH, I'll go mention it to people, which is what I'm doing right now. Go listen to Mammoth WVH.
I appreciate it. Big time.
So yeah, we need that rock comeback. I mean, we've had Monty Skin. Their music's a little bit, some of it's like, not my thing, but at least they're an actual band with actual talent, getting actual attention. So that's pretty cool. There's still a few old ones that get attention. Ghost is a pretty talented band, and they've started to become bigger recently. But like you have Red Hot Chili Peppers still kicking, Foo Fighters, AC/DC every once in a while, so still some stuff going on.
Day in the city. Let's just keep the music going.
But yeah, I could talk about that stuff all day, and I'll probably touch more on it later. You know, I'll probably touch more on the artists related to those cover songs I did. I just thought of random classic songs that I like and was like, what a starting band cover. And I know some of them are kind of weird. I just, I put them all off the top of my head. But we'll get to those later. For now, let's focus back on the gameplay. I'm not even reading this stuff. Sometimes it lags going into a thing. So yeah, I stopped to do a job that day specifically because of the 3 times. And I wanted to go to a music store, but you know what? I don't even care. Let's just get through this week. And then call it an episode. That's right. I'm gonna blue ball you guys. And stop the day before the show. I probably should have said that at the end, but okay. At this point, we're just gonna practice. We're just gonna develop and practice. We're getting some big ones now. We're getting some 10s. She's a 10, but she hasn't fully practiced her Rising Star 2 song. And gotta rest my throat here a little bit, man. This allergy stuff's gotten me really bad this year. Randomly just had a sore throat today. That runs in my family, though. That ENT related stuff. Bad in my whole family. Had to get my tonsils removed at 5, and I still get sore throat all the time. But, like, I was getting strep throat, like, every month, which is why I had to, get my tonsils removed. That was a crazy day. I guess I could talk about that. Obviously, I was young, so I don't remember it too well, but I remember I was put on, like, the gas that makes you see crap. And, I remember, I guess after it happened, I remember they like asked me questions to talk. I would talk to them and just kind of distract me before I got passed out from the stuff. I remember talking about Barney because I really liked Barney the dinosaur back then as a little kid. Now I couldn't. Now it's like, bruh, no. But yeah, back then I remember specifically talking about that to them. I don't know. And I remember getting to eat a lot of ice cream after it happened. But I also remember that I was seeing some weird stuff and talking about it. Like, do you guys see that? I was hallucinating from the stuff they gave me. And there's 2 things specifically that I remember. Oh, while we're here, let's do this. I shouldn't have bought the 100 conditions. I'm stupid. Okay, so we'll buy you, and you. And you. Let's not spend too much money here. That'll be good enough. Now we gotta get back. But, basically, the 2 main things I can remember seeing is, I can't picture this too clearly in my head, but I remember seeing a parade inside of my pillow. So I was, like, face down on my pillow in my, like, little hospital room. And, I would see, like, this grassy field in this trail, and there's, like, a parade of these, like, creatures. I can't make them out specifically in my head, but they kind of reminded me of, like, a children's show, like, uh, Teletubbies, Barney, and kind of, what is that one show called of the big round bobbly looking guys, Booba or something? I don't know. Reminded me of those kinds of shows. And I remember talking about it like I remember talking about the parade, and they were like, "I'm just seeing crap," you know. And the other thing I remember is, I don't really know what you call this, but I need to explain it. You know how a lot of rooms have like the boards near the floor, like at the bottom of the wall, there's like a thing that sticks out. Um, well, I remember looking at that like floorboard. It's not a floorboard, but you know, that thing usually goes around the corner of like a floor and a wall. Behind that, like behind that realistically is the wall, but I saw something in between behind that and the wall, and it was the snake, like a brown snake, a little kind of medium-sized snake, think like the size of your hand or something, just jumping up and down behind that wall. It's like there's a snake behind the wall, but I wasn't even scared of it, and I was like, usually I'm scared of that kind of stuff. But man, it's probably too late. When it gets late, I start talking about weird stuff. That's what's happening. But one more thing about that. Oh, it's February now. We have new topics. We made it through a month. Finally, after like 5 episodes. Anyway, we have new things to repair now. But one more thing I was gonna say is I haven't really had to do any sort of like laughing gas after that. I know my sister did when she got a wisdom tooth removed. I haven't had that happen yet. Hopefully, it will never happen. But I just worry what's gonna happen if I ever do have to like do that around my parent. Will I be able to control my thoughts, or I start saying stuff like revealing stuff that I don't really want my parents to know, where I start swearing unintentionally, and you know, I'm just worried about that a little bit. But it's also funny hearing about like, I need to look up some stories. It's funny just what exactly people do when they're like that, and what even causes that. I accidentally did 2 songs there. Whatever. They want, oh, another gig, huh? We're gonna have 2 back-to-back. Fridays and Saturdays, if you can't tell, are days where all the low-tier gigs happen. So, we're gonna do one final day of preparation. And we'll finally be ready for a gig. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's definitely a big step in your career at this point in the game. Obviously, so. Now you can tell we're really getting those songs up there. Oh man, we're starting to get to that point where the number's actually going up and we're not hitting 0 quite as quickly. Yeah, I still have a 1 on my character. That is so dumb. Anyway, I think we can... This guy's stats are pretty low everywhere else. We want to have a higher stage presence because that'll help the audience be more interested in us. But it'd be good to upgrade that right before our gig. So let's put the 2 lowest practice songs in here. Another thing I forgot to mention is there's song difficulty. I really don't know what that does next to the quality. I honestly have no clue what the song difficulty does. Anyway, it's gig day. Today you have a gig at Jillian's Bar here in Nashville. So, let's go ahead and do the daily things out of the way, and then we'll call an episode. But you can see we're finally at that point. Oh, come on. Yeah, I refuse to upgrade this. It's gonna do it on its own. No matter how long it takes. We're upgrading this stuff instead. Upgrade business. Here we go. So, I think I'll just do the outro while I'm doing these songs here. I'm gonna have some good ones when we go back to writing, that's for sure. We finally worked our way up towards some gigs because the bands were like, hey, come play with us even though you're barely ready. So in the next episode, 100%, we're going to do our first at least 2 gigs. So that's going to be fun. We'll see how bad it goes, starts out. Or maybe it'll start out good. I guess I'll see you guys there. If you watched to the end, thank you so much. And maybe I'll see you around. Later, guys.